So, David, Brody, let's dive right into Tuesday night, the primaries. What was the most fascinating development or developments in your view?
Well, the way I see it, there still is the power of Trump. I mean, that just has never gone away. And if you think about it, he was 23-2 that evening. And let's be honest, he was kind of running up the numbers. A lot of these were uncontested primaries. I mean, it was pretty easy to win. But look at Ted Budd in North Carolina, the U.S. Senate candidate, the Republican who Trump backed. And of course, that was a big win for Trump. And of course, then you have who am I trying to think? Oh, that's right, Dr. Oz. Sorry, I had a senior moment there for a moment. My gosh, I have more of those as the time goes on. Dr. Oz, well, let's be honest. Here's the power of Trump. Dr. Oz would never even be in a recount if it wasn't for Trump. So either way, whether he wins or loses, it's a victory for Trump because Dr. Oz isn't even in the game if it's not for Trump. So, I mean, that shows you the power of Trump. And so that was kind of my takeaway. The Madison Cawthorn situation, that was a little bit different. A couple things. One, he was scandal plagued. But beyond all of that, I was talking to Liz Harrington the other day, who is President Trump, the 45th president, Donald Trump's spokeswoman, Liz Harrington, who said technically Donald Trump never endorsed Madison Cawthorn. And that is actually, I did fact check that. That is true. He never actually put out an official endorsement for Madison Cawthorn. He just supported him on Truth Social and some of these other social media platforms. So he will not consider that a loss, though many in the media will. So I think overall, on balance, it was a great night for Trump. And it just shows you that, indeed, the oxygen is all with Trump right now.
Well, and that was going to be my question for you, too, on the Trump front. You know, any former president, when they're going out there, the level to which people want their endorsement, it's seen as, okay, if they really want the endorsement, they must still really have a foothold over the party or be a solid representative of the party. Do you feel like Trump has lost any of that momentum, or would you say it's the same, or maybe he's gained some along the way?
Well, let's just start with this baseline. Everybody wants Trump's endorsement. I mean, unless you're, some sort of, rhino or someone that just wants to distance yourself from Trump. But overall, I mean, Kathy Barnett wanted that in Pennsylvania. Dave McCormick wanted it, and Oz got it. And if you look at it, if you think of it that way in Pennsylvania, and look at the turnout in Pennsylvania, it was huge. So if you're thinking MAGA support for all three of them, I mean, it's kind of like 100% MAGA support for all three of them. All of them wanted Trump's endorsement. So this is a reflection of the energy inside the Republican Party. And Pennsylvania is a great bellwether when it comes to that, because that is where obviously it's going to be a swing state, not just forget the midterms for a moment, but 2024 for sure. So look, I mean, I think ultimately, Joe Biden had it right. He is the great MAGA king. And I don't think there's any question about that right now. I think the question moving forward, depending on whether or not he runs or not, will just be whether or not he can there's a delineation point. I mean, especially within the church, within evangelicals, as it relates to, how much is too much? It's like, okay, Trump, appreciate you. You did your shtick for 4, 5, 6 years, but you know what? No mas, as Roberto Duran, the famous boxer, might have said. I might have dated myself on Roberto Duran as well.
Well, let's talk about the midterms coming up in November here, because obviously right now things are not looking great for the Democrats, and there's a lot we could kind of unpack there. But from a 30,000-foot level, when you look at what the polls are showing and what's expected to happen, and of course things could change, but how did the Democrats get here in your view?
Well, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. It started with Afghanistan. And when Afghanistan happened, I believe that was a key moment in this administration. That's when we started to see his numbers really go down, Biden's numbers go down, because they looked and they said, wait a minute, this is a guy that's been in the Senate since what, Reconstruction or whatever it's been. It's been in like 175 years. And they looked at him and they said, wait a minute here. There is a distrust of and a bungling of how they handled this situation. Of course, the terrorist attack then came in those moments. And so I think that was just the beginning of the end, if you will, in terms of a red wave coming in 2022. And then you go with all the cultural stuff. I mean, look, they have pushed the envelope. I mean, Joe Biden cast his lot with the progressives. It has obviously backfired. We saw that in Virginia with Glenn Youngkin, with the mama bears rising up. And then you just go down the list, the transgender stuff. I mean, it's all out of control. I mean, literally now we have a Supreme Court nominee or a Supreme Court justice at this point who can't define what a woman is. I mean, that's really where we're at in this country. And so Joe Biden has decided to go all in with the progressives. And what it's going to lead to in 2022 is an all out for Democrats. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, Billy, here's the problem. I mean, I've been in politics a long time. I mean, I think my first, I don't know, I was covering Abraham Lincoln. At least it feels that way back in 1865. But the bottom line is that once the narrative is defined, and it is very hard to put the genie back in the bottle. And I think that's what we're seeing here. I mean, everybody loves to ask the question, how can Democrats kind of regain control? Could the economy come back? Could, with COVID and forget all of that. It doesn't matter. Voters have made up their mind. They see him as way too far left. They have pushed the envelope. And I believe, I mean, not to kind of deep dive this, but if you go back to gay marriage, progressives had a big win, obviously, with the Obergefell decision in 2015. And when that happened, they saw the cultural gravy train, if you will. And they said, you know what? Let's go. Let's go with transgender rights. Let's push the envelope even more. And what we're finding out is the Americans, by and large, especially independents, I'm not talking about the right or the left. They're pretty much dug in. The independents in this country, the heartland of this country, says, wait a moment here. And so Democrats have pushed it too far. And this is what it's coming back to bite them politically right now. And I think that's what we're seeing. And that's why this red wave is going to be, looks like it's going to be happening in 2022. I don't see any signs of it stopping.
So last question for you, in light of that red wave, because people might be wondering, what does this mean for Biden, right? If you have Republicans come into the House and the Senate, and he's then dealing with a pretty unfavorable situation at the legislative level, what will that mean for him and what he will need to do to get anything done?
Well, he won't be able to get anything done. And I hate to say that. I mean, that's sad for the country. But at the same time, it's the reality. I mean, he hasn't been able to get anything done, or not much done, as it relates legislatively in the Senate with the Build Back Better because of Manchin and because of Sinema. He's had problems with that. And they've tried to change the filibuster, or they try to do executive orders and all that. But legislatively, they've had a real hard time finding consensus, and they've had control of all three branches of government. So once the Republicans take over, forget it. It's game, set, match. It'll be over. McConnell will gum up everything in the Senate. So that'll be the end of that if they get the Senate. But either way, in the House, there will be investigation after investigation after investigation, everything from this DHS, disinformation governance board that they wanted to start. They're going to ask for a paper trail on that, and they're going to bring in Hunter. Here we go with Hunter Biden again. And can I just tell you, I mean, on the record, off the record, I don't really care. I'm kind of done with the Hunter Biden story. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. It's just like a personal thing. But anyhow, sorry, I took off my analysis cap there for a second. I mean, I don't think people are going around at, dinner tables, saying, hey, what's the latest on Hunter Biden today?
It doesn't move the needle.
Whatever it is.
Right.
It does. No. Okay. So it's the laptop from hell. Great. Okay. Fantastic. Who cares? I mean, I understand the narrative from conservatives. Fine. Knock yourself out. They didn't cover it in the 2020 election. That is a story for sure as it relates to suppression of free speech and social media. Got that. But anything else as it relates to the merits of the story and the thing with Ukraine and Biden, I'm not quite sure people are really that enthralled with that. Anyhow, the point simply, in answer to your question, is that nothing will get done. There'll be investigation after investigation, and this January 6th committee will go away when the Republicans take control. And so that's why the January 6th committee is obviously trying to get all of the subpoenas and get all of their work done before November of 2022.
Well, David Brody, I appreciate you coming on. We'll have you back very soon for more analysis. Thanks so much.